Sony's State of Play on February 12th was a surprisingly solid showcase for a whole plethora of fanbases, but arguably the biggest shock was the unshackling of one particular game. A game that shared a similar curse to Bloodborne. Metal Gear Solid 4 has finally escaped PS3 jail. It was a game tied so heavily to the PS3's cell architecture that a simple port job was always going to be more trouble than it's worth. To many, it may have seemed obvious to include MGS4 in Volume 2 of the Master Collection, but honestly, I really thought Konami were going to cut corners on this one. The other games in Volume 1 were already given the HD remaster treatment in the past, so modern ports were much easier to throw out there without much retooling, hence the shoddy state of Volume 1 at launch. MGS4, however, requires so much work to get it functional on another platform, which is most likely why Volume 2 took this long. Given Konami's track record, anything that requires actual work is usually a big no-no. To be fair, the attitude seems to be changing, but man, there are always concessions, even with something as great as Delta. The launch performance and pricing of that game in particular was a struggle to stomach, even for an idiot fanboy like me. Which is why I have doubts that MGS4 will run well at first, relying on modders for PC and patience for consoles. Regardless of its future state, the idea that it will be preserved and future-proofed is a celebration in itself, and I am ecstatic. The fact that this is the same showcase that revealed the long-awaited return of Castlevania and God of War, yet MGS4's port is what dominates a lot of the conversation, that's pure insanity. It goes to show how important this series still is to a lot of us. But where do we go from here? Why do I think the future of MGS is bright? Well, for one, every single Metal Gear game, except for Portable Ops and Acid, will be officially playable on multiple platforms, specifically PC. This was my biggest request back when I used to make videos about what I wanted from this franchise going forward. Secondly, thanks to Delta and Master Collection Volume 1, MGS is in the mainstream consciousness now more than ever. There are hundreds of new fans who just discovered the series and have started the journey chronologically with Delta. It's been quite an experience watching some streamers play Delta, then immediately move on to MGS1, having no knowledge of the story beforehand. There are so many mysteries when you play it like that, such as who the hell is Solid Snake, why does he look and sound exactly like Big Boss, and why is Big Boss a corpse? What happened in the 40 years between MGS3 and MGS1? I envy those who get to experience the story this way, and it's heartwarming to witness new people become so invested in the franchise as the games go on, having no idea of the craziness that follows. That wouldn't have been possible if the games weren't as accessible as they are now. Before I go on, I do want to say that the irony of calling MGS's future bright because of old games coming back isn't lost to me. However, to quote Snake's speech at the end of MGS2, building the future and keeping the past alive are one and the same thing. Today's ever-growing obsession with the here and now blinds many to the utmost importance of game preservation. And no, remakes aren't a replacement, no matter their quality. Despite that, I'm not against remakes at all. I know many people are sick of seeing them, but I have no problem when they're made with a lot of passion and care, such as Silent Hill 2. The reason I applaud Konami for their approach to MGS Delta is how they didn't seek to replace MGS3. They didn't even title it Metal Gear Solid 3. Delta is a companion piece for those who want to experience the same story through a different and updated lens, while they bring the original MGS3 to modern platforms at the same time. This is the approach every company should adopt. Alright, let's get away from the old and onto the new. Let's talk crossovers. Recently, Snake has been revealed as the new operator for Rainbow Six Siege, but there are also MGS crossovers with Fortnite and Delta Force. I haven't been keeping up with how the fans responded to these events, but my own opinion has changed quite a bit. Initially, I was cynical, I rolled my eyes, but now I've come around to them. Yes, you can view it as Konami milking MGS for all it's worth, but I don't think these crossovers are egregious whatsoever, and they're a bit of fun. Remember, there was a long period of time where MGS was relegated to a pachinko machine, and it lay dormant for many years, so a few measly crossovers is like Christmas in comparison. That said, the Fortnite crossover wasn't enough to convince me to download the game, despite the temptation, and I had even less interest in trying Delta Force. Siege, however, might be the one I can't resist. Many years ago, I used to play Siege excessively, and admittedly, this trailer put a smile on my face. Seeing Sam Fisher and Solid Snake interacting after all this time, it felt like a full circle moment. Plus, you throw in some of those iconic sound effects into Snake's gameplay, and you got me.
Hostile near me.
I'll probably have a miserable time trying to catch up on years upon years of seasons, but I don't care. I'm gonna look good while doing it. Even in the Kojima era, crossovers were a thing. There was an Altair suit from Assassin's Creed in MGS4. And of course, the obvious one is that Snake was added to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, then returned in Ultimate. What I'm saying is, it's not a new concept. I'd only have a problem if they did a crossover like, I don't know, Snake in a dating sim, or Snake in Pokemon. Something completely outrageous. Otherwise, I don't mind what other franchises he appears in. Alright, we have most of the past games preserved, and we have crossovers, but what comes next for the franchise? Well, obviously, I don't know, nothing's confirmed, but I'd like to speculate. It's very obvious that another remake is coming. Delta was quite successful, but unlike MGS3, MGS1 and 2 will be much more difficult to do right, especially MGS1. Now, I've talked ad nauseum about my concerns with a possible MGS1 remake. It would require a lot of changes, because if you make even small modernizations to its gameplay, you have to change the other elements to account for that. For example, let's say you import Delta's gameplay to MGS1 without any other changes to the world, guard numbers, guard patrols, player damage, NPC damage, etc. You would breeze through the game in just a few hours. The limited and tanky gameplay of MGS1 is what framed the rest of the game. Changes are unfortunately necessary, but getting the right balance between keeping the original game's feel while making big tweaks to the world is a very difficult task. One thing I'd hate to see changed is the voice acting. Voice acting is lightning in a bottle. It cannot be recreated. MGS1's voice acting is a huge part of why it's an iconic classic. Without that quality, you'd be looking at JPEGs and potato heads for 3 hours of cutscenes and codec calls. Re-recording is not something I can get behind. Twin Snakes tried it and couldn't escape the shadow of MGS1's voice lines. Anyway, I've gone on about it before, so let's move on. Back before Delta was announced, it seems really obvious to me that Snake Eater was going to be the game that got the remake treatment. It was the safest bet. But now, I have no idea what game they're going to choose next. They're definitely not going to choose the original Metal Gear 1 from 1987 and its sequel Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, even though I would kill for those stories to be retold with the context of the entire series. It would be a dream project for me. All I know is, what I want for MGS's future is Metal Gear Survive 2. It seems like the obvious slam dunk. Jokes aside, do I think there will ever be a Metal Gear Solid 6? I don't think so. Do I want a Metal Gear Solid 6? I'm not sure, probably not. Not because I'm a Kojima stan, I think only Kojima should be involved in every single Metal Gear project. I don't think that way at all. I honestly think Fresh Blood would be exactly what the series needs. It's just that I don't think a Metal Gear Solid 6 is necessary whatsoever. There are stories I'd love to see explored, but they wouldn't even need to be games for them to work, such as Snake and Otacon during their years in philanthropy, or Snake being trained by Kazuhiro McDonald Miller, or Snake living alone in Alaska, traumatized by the events of MG1 and 2, becoming a musher and drinking too much. Those are some of the stories from the top of my head, but they're not necessary to see. The implications are enough. Strangely, the possible future project that has me the most interested is the same one that I'm most concerned about, Metal Gear Solid 1's remake. And hey, if it did come out and sucked, I still have the original preserved, which is my favourite. Alright, I think this tangent has gone on long enough. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you feel as excited for the future of MGS as I do. At least until MGS4 and Peace Walker come out later this year. Take care.